Hi dears, hope all of you are safe in your home. As COVID-19 is spreading worldwide in an exponential rate, we don't know that when your college will reopen and when it is K2 is going to announce your examinations and all. So you should be prepared for that. So I am going to teach you the fourth module of EST 102, that is computer programming. The syllabus contains introduction to modular programming, then writing the functions, formal and actual parameters, then pass by value, and the recursion, then arrays as function parameters, then it contains structure, union, storage classes, then scope and lifetime of variables, and there will be simple programs using the functions. So first we can see what is a modular programming. It can be treated as a software design techniques. That is, modular programming can be treated as a software design technique, which means that it will divide a bigger problem into sub-problems, or it can be treated as a independent interchangeable modules. Each subproblem can be treated as an independent interchangeable modules. So each independent interchangeable modules will contain a particular task. So instead of doing a bigger problem or approaching a bigger problem, we will divide the entire problem into subproblems. Then we will find the solution to that subproblem, and then it will combine to form the solution of the bigger problem. There are many advantages of modular programming. First advantage is that its development can be divided. You can see that instead of treating the entire problem, we can split the problem into smaller programs. That is, these programs will be smaller executable programs. So we will find the solution to that smaller subprogram and we will execute the subprogram separately, then find the solution to that big problem. Next is readability. As the problem is dividing into subproblems, the readability of the program will be increased. And another advantage is that programming errors can be detected very easily. As a simple example, if you are writing a C program for doing arithmetic operations, if you are doing all the arithmetic operation in a single program, if there any error, single error, you want to check throughout the program where the error is. Then if you are dividing this arithmetic operation program into subprograms, that is a subprogram for addition, subprogram for multiplication, subprogram for division, and subprogram for subtraction. If there any problem or error in your program, we can check whether it is in the addition subprogram or multiplication subprogram or subtraction or multiplication. So we do not want to check it entirely. So detection of errors will be easier in modular programming. Another advantage is that it will improve the manageability. That is, if we are dividing an entire program into subprogram, if we want to change a variable in a single subprogram, we can change it there itself. We do not want to go through all the programs. So, the manageability can be improved by the modular programming. The next advantage is that collaboration. With the modular programming, different users can do a single program. That is, the entire program can be subdivided into different programmers and each can find the solution to their subprogram and combine into the main program. Collaborate their programs. Another advantage is that the reuse of the code. That is, if we are writing a code for addition, we can use it the code anywhere in our program. We want to write it once only. So, main advantages of the modular programming is the reusability. So, we can see now what is a function. You may heard that what are the functions and many advantages of functions in your programming languages. So, a function can be treated as a group of statements that together perform a task. What is that? Function can be treated as a group of statements together to perform a task. In every C programming, there will be at least one function. That is the main function. We know that without the main function, the execution will not be done. The compiler look into where the main function is and then our execution will be started from the main function. So, in every C program, there will be at least one function. And it will contain all other additional functions. So, this function can be divided into two. Mainly, built-in functions and user-defined functions. Some of the built-in functions are scanf, printf, getcf, putcf, etc. Then what do you mean by user-defined function? You know that all the built-in functions you have already used in your programs. So we can go to the user-defined function. What is a user-defined function? In C programming, every user can write their own functions for doing a particular task. So, it can be treated as a series of instructions that can be used to perform a particular task. Now, there are three parts for user-defined functions. That is function declaration, function definition and function code. First, we can see what is a function declaration. Function declaration, it contains its function name, that is name of the function. Then parameters inside the function and also the return type. But it will not contain the function body. So, what is the function declaration? It will specify the function's name, its parameters and return type, but it will not contain the function body. So, what it is doing? What is the function declaration doing? It will tell the compiler that there will be a program or function that will be used in the program. Then syntax will be the return type and the function name. Then whatever the parameters will be there. So, what is the function declaration doing? The function declaration will specify the compiler that there will be a function with this function name and it may be later used by the program. Then, what is function definition? Function definition will contain function header and the function body. What it will contain? Function header and a function body. Then main part of the functions are return type, function name, arguments and function body. What do you mean by return type? A function may return a value. That is, return type will be a data type of the value that function returns. That is, it can be integer, float, char, anything. So, what is return type? Whatever the value the function is returning, it is called return type. And there will be functions without this returning value. So, it is not necessary that there should be a return value. So, there may be functions or operations without the return value. In this case, the return type will be kept it as void. That is, a keyword void will be used. Then next is the function name. What is the function name? It will be the actual name of the function. Then comes the arguments. When the function is invoked, you pass a value to the parameter. That is, when function is called, you want to pass a value to the function. That is called argument or parameter. This can be actual parameter. Whenever the function will be returned, then the value will be passed to the function and this value will be called actual parameter or actual argument. Then fourth one is function body. Function body contains collection of statements. That is, we want to do a particular task. So, for performing particular task, there will be collection of statements. It will be contained in the function body. Then, the syntax of the function will be, first it contains return type, function name, then inside that function name it will be contain argument list, or it can be said the parameters. Then it will contain the body of the function. These are the parts of the function. Now we can see what is a function call. So we have written the function and all. We want to call that function. But what do you mean by that? Calling a function. Actually, while calling a function, the control of the program will be transferred to that calling function. That is, if we are writing a function and we are calling that function from the main, then whenever that function is called, then control will be passed to that function where it is resides. That is, when a program calls a function, the control will be transferred to the called function. Then that called function will perform all the different tasks. That is, many tasks will be provided into that function. That is group of statements. It will perform all the execution of all the statements defined in that function. Then it will return to the main program. It is called calling of the function. The main syntax is function name, then the parameter list followed by semicolon. The syntax of the function call is function, there will be contain a function name, then the parameter list and the semicolon. Then comes return statement. What do you mean by return statement? Return statement is used to return from a function. So we are calling a function, then we want to return from that function. It is called a return statement. Whenever a function is returning, whenever a function is called and then it is returning, it may or may not return a value. Sometimes it may return some values, sometimes it may not. So, return statement can have a value to the return program. Now, we can see the syntax of the user-defined functions. We have already seen that. That is, syntax will be, there will be a return data type. Already told that it can be integer, char or any other thing. Then there will be a function name. Then there will be arguments or parameters in the brace. Now it will contain an open brace, then body of the function and the statements. Whatever the statements will be there, it will contain inside the body. Then a return keyword. Another is how a function can be called from the main function. What will be its syntax? Whenever the function is called from the main function, it will be function name and its arguments followed by a semicolon. These are the syntax of the user-defined function and how it is called. So, we can see an example. Here, we can see that there is a hi function. What is the function name? Hi. Name of the function is hi. I have written here that void hi. That means the hi function is not returning any value. Its return type is void. That is, it will not return any value. This is the definition of the function. So, two ways we can define a function. Either we can define a function in the global declaration portion, that is before the main function, or we can define the function after the main function or inside the main function. If we are defining a function inside the main function, we want to declare that function in the global declaration portion. What is that? If we are defining the function inside the main function, we want to declare it in the global declaration portion. That means before the main function starts. Just give the declaration there. Here we have given that definition is given in the global declaration portion. So we do not want to declare there. So definition, already the compiler will know that there will be a function and it will go through that function. So we do not want to declare once more. So in this function, we can see that there is only two statements. That is printing welcome to the functions and printing good morning. So what is this function doing? It is only printing two sentences. So when we come to the main function, we can see that it is printing main welcome to functions. What it is printing? Main welcome to function. Then it is calling the user defined function, that is high of. Like that it will be calling high of. Then where will be the control going? The control will be passed to that high function. Then from there it will print welcome to the functions and good morning. Then it will return to the main function and then it will print bye. Like this it will be working. Now there are two types of parameters. That is formal parameters and actual parameters. What do you mean by formal parameter and actual parameters? We can see that if a function b of is called from another function a of, that what is happening? There will be a of function and that a of function will call a b of function. And from this case, a is called caller function because a is calling the function b. So what is that? A is calling the function b. So a is called a caller function. Then what will be b? B is called a called function or callee function. That is from the function a is calling the function b. Then a is called a caller function. Then b is called a callee function. Then the arguments of a which will be sent to b is called actual arguments. What is that? Arguments of a is called actual arguments. Then the parameters of b is called formal arguments. What is that? Arguments of a is called actual arguments. Then the parameters of b is called formal arguments because a is calling the function b. Now there are many categories of functions. There are mainly 4 categories of functions. That is, first is no argument and no return values. Function will contain no argument and no return values. Another is there will be argument but there will be no return values. Then third type is no argument but they will have return values. The fourth one is with argument and with return values. So there are 4 types of functions. It is no argument, no return values, argument but no return values, no argument with return values, with argument with return values. First we can say with no argument, no return values. So we can see a simple program. Here we can see that there is void add of function. It is defined inside the main program. Void add of is defined inside the main program. That is after the main program it is defining. So we want to declare in the global declaration portion. We have declared it as void add of then semicolon. Then it comes the main function. Then from the main function it is calling add of. add of is followed by a semicolon. What it is happening? It is calling the add of function. Then the control will be passed to the add of function. What is happening in the add of function? There will be three variables. It is from there it is declaring three variables A, B and C. Then we can see there is a printf statement, enter two numbers. Then there is a scanf statement to enter the value from the keyboard A and B. There are two variables A and B. Then it is reading the value from the keyboard. Then that value of A and B added together and stored it into the variable C. Then from there itself it is printing the sum. Sum will be stored to the C and the sum will be printed. So what is happening in the add of function? It will enter two numbers through the keyboard and it will be added and sum will be stored in the C and that sum will be printed. So there is no need to return any value because the addition is taking place from the function itself and the sum is printed there itself. So there is no need to return that value. So that's why it is given as void add of because it is returning nothing. Then there is no arguments. Can you see any arguments or parameters inside the add of? No, there is no arguments. That's why it is called no arguments and no return values. The second one is with argument but no return values. What is that? With argument but no return values. Here we can see that in the void add of function, it is declared in the global declaration portion. Then in the main function, we are declaring two variables x and y. From the main function itself, it is reading that two variables. We can see that printf enter two number. Then from there itself, we are scanning two numbers x and y. Then that x and y are passing as parameters of the function add of. What is it doing? These x and value are passing as the parameters of the add of function, add of x and y. So there is an argument for that function. Then the control will be passed to that function. What it will be doing? The control will be passed to this function. Then in the void add of we can see that int a and int b is as its parameters. So this value of x will be stored into the variable a and value of y will be stored in the value of b. Then what will be doing? This a and b, the value of a in b and b will be added and stored into the value c, stored into the variable c. Then the value of c is printed. We can see that there is no return values. Is there any need to return this value? No, because the value is printing here itself. So there is no need to return the value. So this is called with argument but no return values. Now the third one is without argument with return values. What is that? Without argument with return values. That is, we can see that int add of So what do you mean by int add of? That is, we can see that the function is returning an integer value. The function is returning an integer value. So there will be no argument because it contains without argument but return values. So there will be no arguments. So when we come to the main, we can see that C equal to add of because we are returning that value. So that returning value should be stored into some variable. That is why we are using C equal to add of. When calling that function, we will be stored that return value to another variable. Then there itself we are printing the sum of the value, that printing that value of C. And in the add of function, we can see that it is just declaring 3 variables and the sum will be calculated from there itself. Then the printing is not doing from there. It is just returning that value to the main function, return of C. What it will be happening? The value will be returned to the main function. From there itself, it will be printed. So return C, when the return C is executed, the value will be stored into the variable C. Then from the main function, it will be printed. This is called without argument with return values. The another is with argument and with return values. That is, we can see that here int add of int. What is that? How it is defining? It is declared as int add of int. So in the main function, we can see that there is a variable declared as C. From the main function itself, we are reading 2 numbers and it is returning value. The function is returning a value. So we want to store it in a variable. So we are writing C equal to add of AB. How it is calling? C equal to add of AB. So when this function is called, it will pass control to this function. From there, what is happening? It will go to the function and we can see that int add of int x int y. So the value of A will be stored into X and value of B will be stored into Y. Then what it will be doing? That X and Y value, both the value of X and Y will be added and stored into the variable C. Then that C is returning to the main function. What it is doing? This value of C, that is the sum of the X and Y, will be returned to the main function. It will return to the main function. It will return to the main function. So the value, the added value, that is sum of the X and Y, will be reach here, the C, in the C. From there it is printing the sum. The sum of two numbers is C and value will be printed there. This is called the function with argument and with return value. So all other part can be. Now we want to discuss the pass by value, pass by reference and all. We can discuss it in the another class. Thank you.